Hi, everyone. This is Dan, and this is the Uncanny X-Men number 143. Merry Christmas to all of you out there, and hopefully you're all having a great holiday. And I figured I'd celebrate the holiday with a nice little Christmas X-Men issue right here. I've always wanted to do this for Christmas, but every year it comes around, I always end up missing it or I forget about it, right? I only had the channel for 2 years, so to be fair, plenty of more opportunities to do Christmas comics, right? But this is a really fun one right here. So X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 143 is famous not just for being a Christmas issue, but this is also the last issue of John Byrne on Uncanny X-Men with Chris Claremont back in the 80s. He would leave the X-Men after this to start up on the Fantastic Four. And this is also the issue right after the end of the Days of Future Past storyline. So overall, this is pretty much the peak of John Byrne on X-Men. So great stuff right here. But this issue begins with a nice little flashback right here. For those of you who remember, this is from the first issue after the death of was it Thunderbolt or no Thunderbird? One of the first stories that Chris Claremont did on the Uncanny X-Men. So it's a great flashback to that story here. Here's Storm fighting the Nagarai, and here's the flashback of her basically overpowering these alien creatures that are trying to drag her down into this pyramid of abyss right here. Again, classic Chris Claremont. Storm, with her mental struggle and inner thoughts as she must fight to be free. And then, the X-Men soar off and many other adventures happens and years pass. And apparently the Nagarai did not, in fact, die. One of them's there, and he looks suspiciously like a xenomorph from Alien. The other thing about this particular issue of X-Men, and later on Claremont would explore this with the Brood, is this very much is a tribute to Alien, which came out around the same time as this, right? So John Byrne and Chris Claremont basically having a little bit of fun for the Christmas issue right here. So here we have this happy couple right here looking for a Christmas tree for Christmas, and they get subsequently murdered by this alien and eaten alive. Very dark for the 80s right here. Obviously, John Byrne and Claremont could have probably been a lot darker than this. But this was still the era of the Comics Code Authority, so you couldn't go too crazy. And then we jump into the actual splash page, which is the name of the story, Demon, right here, as we join our mutants in Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Kids. Here you have the professor essentially teaching Kitty Pryde about all the Blackbird ignition sequence, which she's going to need by the end of this. And we basically catch up with what's going on with everybody. So this was around the time that Logan started dating Mariko Yoshida. I think this isn't her first introduction, but this is when they are kind of going steady for the first time before all of the later drama with Silver Samurai and etc., right? And then you see, this is also when Logan is like early Logan, when he's definitely, or Chris Claremont's very much trying to establish him as sort of a wild animal that wants to fight and get in fights with everybody, right? This was before the miniseries with Frank Miller and many of the later stuff from Claremont, where he really develops Wolverine into what he is today, right? And then yeah. So after he gets a little pissed off at Nightcrawler stealing a kiss from his lady, he's able to calm down and he takes Mariko away. Kitty decides to sneak a kiss with Peter, which, again, I've always been kind of weird about the whole Kitty Pryde Colossus thing, just because I think Colossus is like, if I remember correctly, I think he's like 18 or 19. So he's like an adult in this X-Men. He's kind of young, but still an adult. But Kitty Pryde is like 14 when she's first introduced to the X-Men. So really weird, and I don't know how I feel about it to this day. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I guess you could stretch it, I suppose. It kind of becomes sort of lost in the bigger scheme of the X-Men as Kitty Pryde gets older, right? But anyhow, Professor Xavier and the rest of the X-Men are heading out on a trip. And kind of like the beginning of Home Alone, they leave Kitty Pryde here at the X-Mansion to kind of fend for herself. She gets a really interesting phone call from Scott Summers, Cyclops, who still kind of dealing with the loss of Jean Grey. And he's already found a chick. Like, that was pretty fast, Scott. So he runs into Lee Forrester, which is one of the first ladies Scott meets after the death of Jean Grey. Yeah, most of them are all blonde up until he runs into Madeline. But anyhow, Kitty Pryde heads down to the Danger Room to go do some exercises. And this is usual Chris Claremont thought balloons right here. Chris, obviously, co-creator of Kitty Pryde. He has a very, very soft spot for this character, and it shows, especially in the early issues. Chris really puts an enormous effort in these early issues with Kitty Pryde to make sure that everyone knows who she is and that really try to sell the character. Sometimes I feel like a little too hard. For this particular character. There's so much thought balloons and side stories sort of dedicated to Kitty Pryde that I feel actually in the early parts right here with Kitty Pryde first being added to the team, she kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, not just because she was the new character, but because I felt, at least in my opinion, reading these old X-Men comics, I feel like Chris tried just too hard. He had almost too much skin in the game with Kitty Pryde. And that was something that I think got alleviated or made really a lot better with the introduction of the New Mutants, because I feel Kitty Pryde as a character works so much better with the New Mutants than she did with the X-Men, at least in my opinion. I think she was okay in the X-Men. I think when the New Mutants came around, though, I think that's when Kitty Pryde really started to shine a lot. Anyhow, let's jump into it. She gets a alarm, possible intruder zone 4. It's up in Aurora's garden, which is smashed open and all the plants are dead, and runs into some Ghostbusters goop. And hi there. Essentially runs into this nasty figure of a monster who proceeds to chase after her through the entire house. And again, this was long before the X-Men 3 movie. So this is kind of John Byrne right here, really showing his artistic creativity as this alien just literally rips through walls and through the entire thing, basically taking a direct route just like Kitty Pryde is running away from him. Pretty cool stuff right here. Interesting enough, she actually gets slashed by the alien, and she's able to phase, so it doesn't cause physical damage, but something about the alien creates psychological and almost spiritual damage to her. So she feels pain even though she hasn't been physically hurt. Very interesting. I kind of almost feel like it would have been cool if Claremont would have came back to the Nagarai or maybe tied them together with the Brood, right? But after this story, this kind of, at least to my knowledge, this concept doesn't really get revisited by Chris. Anyhow, she ends up trying to trick the monster to go into the Danger Room so that she can turn all the traps on him, but then the monster just finds the door to the command room in the Danger Room and runs her out the back. And she tries to turn every single trap on her, and she kind of notices that the one trap that kind of works is the fire, right? And so she kind of theorizes that, hey, I just came out of the theater after watching Alien, and remember them using flamethrowers, by the way, that didn't work in the movie, but okay. So she figures she's got a pretty smart plan. She's going to go over to the Blackbird right here and basically toast this guy with the afterburners right here. Yeah, very interesting how the X-Men were originally, it's a modified SR-71 Blackbird, right? But it's super, super modified, because if any of you have ever seen the documentaries on the Blackbird, it's not like a big cockpit. It's mostly just a single seater, right? So yeah, the X-Men kind of by modified, what Chris really means is literally a different aircraft. But that's okay. So the alien, the Nagarai, gets basically toasted. right? And then we get the real twist to all of this. She goes out in the fire to find the animal and gets killed. And at this point in the timeline is when Jonathan Hickman replaces the original Kitty Pryde with the current Kitty Pryde, which is actually a Nagarai alien who is racist, evil, and likes murdering people, cussing, and generally being a horrible human being. Booyah! Got him! Merry Christmas, everybody. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. If you got any comments on Uncanny X-Men number 143, leave it down below, and I will see you next time. Merry Christmas, everybody.